right, Jörg, what do you think we kick it off?
Yep, let's go for it.
Yeah, perfect. All right, so firstly, a warm welcome to everyone for joining today's webinar. Today, we're going to discuss the MOBA Xsite ecosystem, followed with a short introduction on both on the product level and also an in-depth discussion on the Xsite Managed Cloud Management tool. My name is Daniel Ramondetta. I'm the Managing Director here at MOBA Australia. Joining me on camera is Jörg from our 3D Products Manager, and David Hassab, the Managing Director of Earth Moving Technology Solutions. David, or ETS, is our distribution partner on the East and West Coast. So just to cover some housekeeping, today, the main product presentation, there'll be some time allocated to questions and answers. Please submit your question on the chat box or Q&A section, depending what platform you're using. We will record today's session, so participants that are registered will automatically get a link to download it. And now I think it's time to get stuck into all and hand it over to you, Jörg.
Yeah, thank you, Daniel. And also from my side, welcome everybody. I hope everybody can see the slides in the screen. So we're going to start the presentation with a brief introduction on the Xsite ecosystem with a focus on products that are able to link into our Xsite Managed Cloud solution. Then we're going to transition over to the Xsite Cloud itself, a short live demonstration, how to create job sites, what to do in the cloud platform, and so on. But to get us started, let's take a look what we can do on the machine side, on the system side. We cover the full range of excavator products with our Xsite Easy. This is what you see on the left-hand side of the screen. It's a 2D excavator system. 2D means you can work off a non-bench point or use a rotation laser for height references. And typically these systems are used whenever you don't need advanced 3D workflow. Benefit of the system is, of course, you can upgrade all components at a later stage to a full 3D system. Also good to know, software upgrades are regular on these systems, so whatever you see is regularly maintained. The latest edition, just a couple of weeks old on the Xsite Easy system, is our addition of a compass. That means you can not only work in single slopes, but you can use your Xsite Easy also with an additional compass for dual grade work. Then moving on to the 3D side of things on the excavator, our Xsite Pro excavator system, which is of course a full 2D system, so all the functions from the 2D world, but also all 3D functions are in the Xsite Pro product line. Has a nice big screen, 8.4-inch screen, multi-touch, so all the modern features that you're familiar from your mobile phone from. Suitable for all job site. Could be an easy 2D job site or could be a high-end infrastructure 3D job site. Based on the same ecosystem, so on Xsite Pro, we offer, of course, not only the excavator as a machine, but also solution like skid steer that you see here in the left-hand picture, 2 antennas on the roof, couple of sensors along the movable elements of the machine to visualize the bucket height. Could be a skid steer, could be a wheel loader, could be something else. So we're quite flexible there. Then one level up, so to speak, more automatic system is our dozer system, Xsite Pro dozer. Here we can offer plate automation, so we can move a plate in height and in slope automatically, suitable for all common dozer models out there. So this is what we can offer on the core products on the machine side for Xsite, for excavators, dozers, skid steers, loaders in 2D, in 3D, and of course, what we've shown here, for example, the dozer system, we also offer 2D versions of that. Then closely linked into our Xsite managed ecosystems, we have a strong partnership with Geomax for surveying and foreman solution. That means anything this a GNSS rover, a base station, or also a total station is provided by Geomax, and we also have a connection from our Geomax products into our Xsite Manage. What does that mean? That means you can upload and download files directly from your Geomax solution from our Xsite Managed Cloud. Then last but not least, we also have a quite new product for most markets called Mobile Design Tool, an easy to use cloud-based CAD solution. The main intention is that you can digitalize, well, not digitalize, but you can create 3D designs based on 2D information. Very common still nowadays. You get a PDF plan of the job site, what you should build. But for machine control, of course, we need to have a surface model. That's the triangles here in the middle. And to build those, normally you need very costly, very expensive CAD solutions that are installed on a computer. With our design tool, we can integrate that into a cloud solution in a very easy workflow. Great about this product is also it integrates seamlessly with our Xsite Manage solution. So whatever you create design-wise in your design tool, you can directly stream onto all Xsite products, or of course also then to the Geomix side and vice versa. So much for the product side. And then moving on to the next slide. Of course, focus for today should be the Xsite Manage, our cloud solution. So we're going to take a closer look at that in the next couple of slides, and then coming to the main point for today, the live presentation. But in the meantime, if you have any questions, as Daniel mentioned, feel free to post them in the chat or in the question and answers, and then we get back to you with the answers towards the end of the presentation. So Xsite Manage, key features, and a little bit same direction, the agenda for today. So the core function is seamless data transfer. What does that mean? In modern job site, you have always data. It could be 3D surface file, it could be line work, and they somehow need to get to the machine for the operator to use these models. And our cloud solution, Xsite Manage, allows that to do without needing to copy files to USB drives to bring them to machines, and so on. So the idea is that all relevant users on the Xsite around the job site have the latest files available without the requirement that somebody picks up the phone, calls, then drives out to the machine, update files. It's a big risk that you work with outdated files, and it's a high cost to deliver these files manually to any job site. So this is the first aspect we're going to cover in the live presentation, how to create a job site, how to sync machines to these job sites, and so on. Then also in Xsite Manage, we have a module for data visualization. We can also display the same design files that we send to our machines. We can also have them visible into our Xsite Manage cloud platform. And even more, we can record, we can store points on our machine control system and also feed them back into our cloud. That means they're accessible directly in our cloud platform. That means you can download them, you can visualize them, and this is a great tool for as-built documentation, for example. So moving on to the third block we want to cover today, a little bit more on the advanced features that are part of the Xsite Manage functionality. Local site calibrations, you might know what that means or not, but we will get you sorted there. Productivity reports, so the platform allows us to have quite detailed information, what happened on specific machines, what happened on specific job sites. Then you will see our remote support tool during the presentation. We will access two live machines or two demo systems that we have here. So we'll see a brief glance of our support tool. And then we're going to say some words about our third-party API. And then last but not least, of course, your questions. Good. But first of all, how to find the Xsite Manage platform is straightforward, xsitemanage.com. If you open that link, you will see this landing page. So some of you might have already an account. If you don't have an account, feel free to reach out to ETS or to MOBA to create an account for you. It's easy. Yeah, we just get a notification that you're trying to sign up. We can invite you to an organization, to a job site, and you can sign yourself up. You can define your own password then on the platform, just how modern platforms should look like. Good. Then we move on to the live presentation. So I will need to stop the current presentation, and I will try to share my screen. So bear with me for a second. So let's see if that works. I hope now you can see my Xsite Manage screen.
Yep, we can see that, yeah.
Sounds good. Very good. So this is the Xsite Manage platform. This is how it looks, or very similar how it looks to you after you signed in with your credentials. What you will see here, so this is the admin level, because of course we want to support all our dealers, all our end customers, so we have a little bit more functions. But what you will end up seeing here is your organizational level. So we can go into our organization, and just to give you a brief overview, what all of these buttons here on the left-hand side means. Right now, we are logged in as an organizational admin. That means we can interact with the system. We can apply changes. We have a different user role called external operator. They can only view what's going on, but they cannot apply changes. So there's a user management in the background. It's also good to know. But right now in our test organization, we have two machines, the case excavator, and we got a showroom excavator. We got our DBSN, so each system, each Xsite Pro system has a unique identifier that it's not linked to the SIM card that's in there. It's not linked to the hardware, but it's a generic number that we create when we supply a system to you. And all cloud functionalities, all backups of a machine are synced to this DBSN number. So if you want to have more details about the machine, we can click onto the machine itself. We can rename it. Yeah, the name doesn't matter. For us, the DBSN matters. So you can change that to whatever makes most sense to you. We can select a different color for the machine if we have a lot of different machines that might be usable. Down here, this is also interested. We can see the connected sites. That gives you a very good overview of what sites a specific machine is connected to. Yeah, and we can even remove the link. Then the machine is disconnected from a job site, and then all files will be also cleared in at the same time on the machine itself. So this is the machine tab. Of course, we can add new machine when you buy a system from ETS, from MOBA, from any MOBA distributor. Of course, they're automatically linked to your organization. Mentioned before, users in here, we can add organizational users. Right now, I'm an admin of this organization, so you can add more users to your own organization. One word about that. So if you add a user, he will have full access to your organization. If you think more that you want to add a user to a job site, I will show you later how this is done. Good. Then we move downwards in our menu, because the first two items are normally set up before we want to utilize the tool. So we click here on sites on the left-hand side, and these are our job sites. You can see right now we have only one job site, so a practice job site from yesterday. But we want to create a new job site, and we're going to call this webinar today, maybe. So important to know, you need to enter a name. Otherwise, the system won't accept that. And in the next step on the right-hand side, you can see our map here. We're gonna only drop a rough pin location. We are located in Epping, somewhere around here in the northern part of Melbourne in Australia. So the reason for this pin is just where the map is centered around. It doesn't have any other implication. You can drop it pretty much anywhere in the world, but it's just nice and neater. You will see it later when we upload files, that it's quite good practice to have the pin close to where the job site is at. Okay, next we're gonna click on create. It takes a moment. You see the status up here. request succeeded. That's great. So in the next step, the system will tell us to please select a coordinate system. Most likely for the Australian participants, those look familiar. This is just an MGA zone 55, so an UTM projection. In here, we can select our geoids for the height. So these are state coordinates. Of course, in other markets, we offer other coordinate systems. But in Australia, this is an Australian organization here now that we're in here at this job site, we can select the correct zone right away. The big benefit by doing so, the operator on the machine itself cannot modify this coordinate system. And this is something we see many times in the support side of our business, that somebody pushes the wrong button, selects the old geoid or the new geoid, and then the heights are wrong. So that's locked in now. And in the next view, we are in our workspace. So we change from an organization into our workspace where we are today. And then we have exactly the same structure down here. So we're going to start with the data management side of things. Right now, this is empty, nothing to show. We didn't drop any files in there yet, but we will do so next. So we will locate our files. One thing important to mention, of course, all of that works on your phone in pretty much the same way. So you can use your Android or your Apple phone to directly access Xsite Manage, and you will have the same functionality like on your big screen. So we're going to drop some files in there. We're going to start with our line work. I think there's one participant joining in the lobby. Let me just, oh, one already. Excellent, good. So what we did here is drop our line work into it, mobile yard, line work DXF. So our system supports all open file formats. That means it's either a DXF file or a LandXML file. In our example, the line work and the 3D design, so the 3D surfaces are in separate files, but of course they can be also in the same file. So line work and surfaces can be in the same file. Often that is something we don't see delivered to our customers, so we're flexible there. Now we're going to upload the bigger surface. It's around 7 or 8 megabytes, so it takes a moment to upload. And then we have a smaller surface, our car park here, processing file. There we go. Okay, and the last one. So we have one line work file. We have 2 surfaces right now in here, both is DXF. You might have noticed the small I symbol and this turning circle here. Turning circle means the files are still processed for visualization only though. So if I click here right, view models, and then up here, I can select a 2D view and I can zoom to extents. Let's see if that works. Sometimes the internet here is a little bit laggy. What you see here now is a visualization of our line work in front of our office, our car park and the road we surveyed, at least partially surveyed. And now our first DXF has been processed. It's a little bit smaller, therefore it goes faster. So we can also activate the view of that model. And also this one got processed. You see now in green popping up, this is the first surface, the car park surface, and the road is now also here. So quick and easy check. Safe to say, if the files load in here, they should also work in the machine control system. Up here, we got our 2D view, we got our 3D view. If we are in the 3D view, of course, it looks a little bit strange because the background maps are not on the same height like the design. But in the 2D view, most times, depending on the map quality, it works fine. Next here, we have the live view of the machine positions. Right now, we didn't assign machines. We will do that in the next step, and then we will see the machines popping up on the map as well. Over here, layer management, you know that from your Google Maps already, OpenStreetMap in this case. We can have a satellite background image. We can have the roads just in verse color, or we can have a grid. But anyways, we're gonna leave it like this, and we did drag and drop our design files that we want to have on our machines, and we're gonna go into the machine tab. So of course, you can have multiple machines in your organization, and not all of your machines do need to work on your same job site. But in this case, we pretend that's the case. So we can add machines. Yeah, we can add multiple machines by this new row. We can do it single. We can give those machines a specific name for this job site. So it doesn't need to be the name that you saw earlier in the organization, but it could be the call sign of a job site, for example. We can also manually add machines with a DBSN. Yeah, just a reminder, this long number here is the DBSN, and that is specific for cases where you want to add a machine, but that machine is not, part of your organization. Let's say it's from a different subcontractor and you want to work together on this job site, you can just add another machine into the job site. That is, of course, if the other owner of the other organization allows that for you to do. You can click on add. What happens now? Okay, we added the machines here to our job site. If we would click on it, we get the same information as before. We can select a different color for one of them. We can click on submit changes. So then the next one, users. Right now we have only myself as a user of the job site. We can invite more users simply by dialing in their email address. And this is a user that will only have access to the specific job site. He won't have access to your organization. We have two different user levels. We have a user that can only upload files, but cannot, for example, assign new machines. And we have an admin who can change everything that we see inside our workspace or job site. Support requests, these are active support requests on this job site. And in settings, we could modify the coordinate system. If we click on replace, we will get a warning because that's, of course, something one set. Normally, you don't change on the same job site. There are certain situations where you need to do that. Most common one if you selected wrong in the beginning. Good. All right. So let's see how things look like on the machine side. So what you see here now on the screen is a live view of the first machine, a live view of the second machine. You can see it here. This is the DBSN numbers. And since we are assigning just now these machines to the job site, the operator gets a notification, okay, your machine has been assigned to a new job site. We could say, okay, we want to sync to this job site. Yes, yes. Okay. Now, where we are today, you see this is currently downloading. Might take a moment. The internet, they're connected by LTE, as you can see, 1 bar of LTE, so it's not that crazy fast, but nevertheless, it worked. Okay, we're gonna confirm we want to start working on this project. And you see it's exactly the same files that we loaded in our cloud are now available on the machine. Because this is a cloud solution, of course, the machine doesn't need to be on. So you can organize your file in the morning or in the evening. The next morning, when the operator turns on his machine control system, he will get exact the same, but you don't need to do it live as seen here. One note here about this light bulbs, very easy. Constant light bulb means it's always visible. Automatic means we can toggle through the different designs. But the line work typically is always active. This is a warning from our simulator just to see if northing and easting are correct. Typically it is. And if we then go into the top view and if we zoom out a little bit, we will see our job site. We're going to do the same on the other one, webinar today. Next. There we go. Good. Okay. I might quickly need to center those to the actual job site, so we're a little bit more aligned where we need to be. So there we go. Now we start seeing the design here. If we zoom out a little bit, we can see the beginning of our roadwork. And if I activate actually the line work on the second system to be always visible, you will see the difference here that we have our line work, and now we also have our design file. Good. So we loaded the designs to our cloud, and we synced our machines, in this case, through excavators, to our cloud. In a moment or two, just admitting another user, you will see also the live position of the machine. It might take a couple of seconds for syncing everything. Good. Going back into the data management, you might have noticed it. Of course, site version 4, that means we made 4 changes. The first one was to create a job site, and we added 3 files. If we click on S-Build Data, we can not only stream data to the machines, but we can also store points on the machines, and then they are automatically transferred back into our cloud solution. Might take a minute or two to pick those up. I'm just recording some point on our system. Then we will see what's happening there in the meantime. I will quickly update the view here. And hopefully we can also see the live view of the machines. Okay, so that's the idea of the file management here. And it might take a moment or two here to upload all of the other details. So if we go back into our sites, of course, we can now see here our webinar that we created today. So we also have a timestamp available. Excellent. Good. Okay. Then we could move on. I can give you a quick overview of the more advanced functions. So we're back in our organizational level. We just finished on the site. This was the previous one. The next one is our PRM tool. As you've seen previously, the second step in creating a job site after defining a name is to select the coordinate system and achieve it. So often we find ourselves in a situation that we have a local site calibration, a site transformation, whatever term you are using commonly. For that, we have the PRM tool to create these site calibrations. There are a couple of ways how to create those. We're going to call it everything webinar today. Of course, I need to plug in my keyboard again into the computer. Okay. So we're going to call this webinar today. And down here, we could either enter everything manually, in case we only get some printout from the surveyor. But you see here the field, drag and drop a file. We also can load files directly into here. What we support is, of course, CSV, so a comma-separated value file from Excel, for example, and something else. We also support DC or CAL files, so these are Trimble formats, MXML, TopCon format, something more exotic, GC3, so the TopCon binary file, an LOC file, which you can, for example, get from Carlson, from Geomax, from StoneX, and so on. And then we're going to practice a little bit. So the first thing we're going to drop in there is an CAL file, so Trimble format. So we're going to just drag and drop that in here. And it reads out the file for us. What you see here, these are the blue balloons. So these are our job site file locations. Down here, these are the coordinates that were read in, latitude, longitude, elevation. Northing, easting, and height, and you see residuals. So the inner accuracy between all used points, we use here a couple of points, is quite high. Normally this happens either if somebody made a horrible mistake, but hopefully it's only a matter of swapping northing and easting axis, because that is not standardized in surveying. So we have a quick button here to swap the axis around. Yeah, beautiful. That helped already. Of course, we can disable a point to be used. Yeah, if we know the horizontal accuracy on that point wasn't good. I remember that this wasn't surveyed according to specification, but I have not enough points, or the distribution of the points is not nice enough. Then I can also manipulate that here. Once I'm happy with that, I can click on Create Coordinate System, and it's sending it a request. And what happens now is I have a new file in my webinar today. Yeah, this is how we called it. And if I were to create a new site, create site, let's call it CalTest. And we're going to drop the point. Let's do it rough and fast. In here, all our MGA zones and organization PRM files, you have then the PRM file available that we just created now. So triple cal files are supported, of course, TopCon GC3 files. If I drag it, GC3 file in there, it won't let me do it. So most likely there is something not right with the file. I was just trying to load. So you have a direct feedback if something is not correct with the file. Let's see if I find somebody that it likes. There we go. So also TopCon GC3 file can be loaded directly. And what is nice about this binary format, we read out directly what the TopCon user selected to use or not to use. And of course, we would need to define a name for it. That's a PRM tool, nice handy tool to build your site calibrations. Then moving on, actually we're going to go one step back because hopefully our job site catched up on everything. So you see here we created just a cal test, and we're going back in the webinar test for today, because what I want you to show is how easy it is to add a new file. Quite often, of course, our design files change, some modifications are made, and we can just drag and drop another file in it. In this case, it's a land XML file. Similar content at our surface, but significant smaller size-wise. And if we go back into our live view, the operator does get a warning with the user name from Xsite Manage. Somebody applied a change in your job site. Do you want to accept it? Yes, no. If he doesn't press anything, the changes are accepted. If he presses no, in a defined time interval, he will be reminded again, hey, listen up, there was a modification, something changed. Please be aware of that. Good. That is now ready to go. And we click on OK. We want to apply the changes. And if we click on our file list here, then on the right-hand side, we will see right away. Now we have our revision 2, and we can select that file from here. Of course, it's good practice then to also remove the file. We can do that here on the right-hand menu. We can, of course, also download files from here. Delete files, delete. Then just be careful, they will be removed from all machines at some point. But that's good practice. And so the operator will even get a warning. Okay, somebody removed now our mobile yard, road and footpath, DXF. And then I cannot select this file anymore on the system. The idea is clear. The operator on the machine shouldn't be worried too much that he has the latest and the correct version of the file, but he wants to have certainty that he's cutting or filling to the correct levels. Good. So if we go back to our main menu, this was the previous warning, and let's see where we are here. Then we should see now our build points arrived. These are the blue points here that we recorded just now on the machine system. So if I look back here, these are the points I created just now. If I move on a little bit and I store another points here with this quick store function, you will see I want to store a point here. I created another point, 0.4, And if I go back into my previous windows, we will see here the as-built data that we collected with that specific excavator. And to access these as-built data, of course, you can look at the blue arrows here popping up on the screen, but we can also go into the as-built function. What we have here is a nice tab. So we can select what we want to see here. Let's say we're only interested in a machine name and the northing, easting, and height that we created. We get a direct overview. We can filter this further. Let's say we only want to use points that are from the case excavator. We can filter here further. And also worth mentioning is we can export the as-built data in various format, land XML, so you can get the points directly as an XML file for further processing in the CAD software of your choice. CSV, just a point list. Something from the drilling world here, some more specific file formats, or of course, very common also DXF, but I guess most people are most interested in and you see it's a normal CSV. You can open that in any text editor or your Excel. And for further processing, that's great. Good. So I can show you a little bit more on the parts that we recorded yesterday, because for some of the things I want to show you, a little bit more data is required. But for example, the points we recorded yesterday here on the same setup, some more as-built points that we can just sort and filter them in a nice way. Going back to the 2D view, so we line up a little bit better. You see here, these then are all the points that we created. So much for all the functions inside the job site itself. We covered the PRM tool. One thing we didn't cover yet is the report functionality here. So let's roll back a day, but before that, we can already see these are all our machines inside our organization on all job sites. So our case excavator is linked to webinar 2024 and to webinar today, and the same for the other system. Going back one day, we see our webinar didn't exist already, so the webinar today is not available, but the thing we did yesterday is there already, of course. It gives you a utilization. It's comparing the time the system has been online on this cloud job site and the machine has been moving on the job site. When the machine is standing still, that means no movement of the machine. It's counted as idling time. And the ratio between those two is the utilization in percent. If we want to have a little bit more detailed information, we can open here the detail tab. And what we see here is the design name that the operator selected and what happened in a specific time slot. You see here the first 5 minutes he was active, then he stopped, and then he continued. And down here in red, you see design change happened. So from there on, he started working on a different design. And we can do that for each and every excavator. And these are the organizational excavator. If we click on machines, we can say we only want to see this machine here. The other one is not so interesting. We can apply that. We can also zoom into the heat map function. So you see here, this is where we simulated the movement of the machine. You see here, it's kind of heat map. So this is the car park where the showroom excavator was most active. If we apply all machines again, we can see the case excavator was mainly here on the road active. So that gives you a good overview where the machines have been running so far on a specific day. So if we click on the day tab, of course, we can say today, the whole week, the work week, Saturday, Sunday, depends where you're working at, the month, or we can define a custom range, just like that. And then we can filter one level down even by the machines. We can have that in big. You can print it out straight from here. And then you have a great overview of all the things that were going on your organizational, on all your machines in your organization. So if we go back to our sites, this is where we left off the webinar today. Can take another look where the machines are. Hopefully it works. Yeah, so we got our machine positions here now, both in a similar spot. Showroom excavator. Oh, maybe the other one. Yeah, the other one is further down. Sorry, I didn't center this one here to the design. But you see here, the position is updated every couple of seconds, so you can have a good overview where your machines are currently on the design on your job site, where they are. You see, just moved. I simulated here the movement on my simulator here. So if you see here, we're moving upwards, and then not too long after, you will see the blue machine jumping a little bit further to the north. And of course, also with the XML, so the DXF we already saw, we can say here view model, and then you will see in a couple of seconds the land XML file being displayed in the background, and you have a good understanding where your excavator is, either in relation to the background map, OpenStreetMaps in this case, or in relation to your design. Good. Then, of course, any questions can be found in the user guide. So that's down here in the left-hand corner. You can find most of the things I showed you today. Really well written. You have a quick search function, so you can just say here report, I want to have informations. And there, most of the items should be covered in here. One last word about the third-party API. In the meantime, I'm going to go back to the presentation. Third-party API, of course, we can log into other systems. That means if you have an application, a CAD application, where you want to contribute data through Xsite Manage, that is totally possible as well with our Xsite Manage product. We believe in open file formats, and we believe also in open data structures, so we're not locking you into anything. Good. Let's jump forward back to the original position of the presentation we had so far. We covered all of that. We covered all 4 points here. No, we didn't. We covered the first 3 points. And we covered the live presentation, of course. And then we move on to the last segment. Any questions from your side? Feel free to use the chat function or by email, of course, or the question and answer function.
Got a couple coming through, so maybe I'll read those questions out. And
Yeah,
we encourage everyone to use the chat box. So first one, do we have any in-depth training tutorials for the Xsite Easy Pro products?
Yeah, I think the most comprehensive one would be on YouTube. You can just search for MOBA Australia. We upload weekly videos at the moment. If you have a more specific question, happy to answer that by email. But I think the videos are the best insight into the product for most workflows, because in the videos we really cover workflows from the real world scenarios.
Yeah, perfect. Another one that's there is what happens, this is a good question, what happens if we don't always have a 3D file available?
Yeah, so of course you can create your own 3D designs, either using the MOBA design tool, the GeoMax rovers, or you can create your own profiles directly on the machine. That could be something as easy as cutting to an RL level. Yeah, you just dial in your target height into the excavator, for example. It could be something more advanced, like a profile following a very complex line. For example, a drainage renovation, you would just need to store the center of the drainage with your excavator, connect all the points with a line, and create a profile, the side slopes to that line.
Perfect, thanks, Jörg. There's another 3 questions here. So how easy is it to use an Xsite Pro system on a site where surveyors are using Topcon and Trimble survey equipment? So different brands of survey equipment?
Yeah, yeah. So I think it comes in multiple stages. So of course, normally we use NTRIP or local base stations to get the accuracy we require for GNSS operation. With NTRIP, it's never an issue. With local base station nowadays, rarely an issue, I would say. Our receiver supports all transmission formats of the base station. That includes CMRX. When it comes to file management, of course, if there's heavy Trimble or Topcon or Leica users, they like to use the proprietary formats, which is fine. But any product they're using on their end, it could be Trimble Office, TBC, could be a Topcon 3D Office. They can all export DXF and in the newer version also land XML files. So it is more question to express the wish to get the files in the correct format. We do have a cheat sheet available for that. I think we can send a link to that as well. So you have the complete list of supported file formats that you can supply then to the data management of the specific job site.
Yeah. And there's two more questions that just came through, and maybe we'll cap it there just so we stay on time. So if we have a file for a project from a surveyor, do we install it in the same way as you just demonstrated?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so you can just drag and drop it into the cloud, or you can even get access to the surveyor as an user for this job site, so the surveyor can upload the file himself.
Yeah, I guess they can also upload it via USB stick. It's not so common these days, but it's still
that's of course possible. Yeah, all our products have standard USB interfaces, so you don't need to have any USB-C interface cables. Standard USB works fine.
Yep. And then we'll leave the last question. Can we upload our own photos to the cloud ourselves?
Auto photos, that's the one from the chat. So yes, we can in the mobile design tool, because the mobile design tool's origins are from drone processing. Therefore, it's a very powerful architecture behind. And there we can touch in some parts on the drone processing where auto photos are very common to use. But that is possible to load background photos. Also, of course, georeferenced background photos into a cloud and overlay them with designs. And there are then even more functions in the design tool, like volume calculations, create your own designs. So quite nice. But if there's interest from anybody, happy to run a session in more detail on that product as well.
Yep. And there is one more question that just came through now regarding Xsite Managed for remote support. Yep. Maybe you can just touch on that, and then we'll cap it there. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's all the same platform. So all the file management is in the same platform as the remote support. It doesn't make sense to split them nowadays. However, for example, an external user won't have access to remote support. So we use remote support, I would say 90% for education of customers, a specific workflow. Then it's easier to see the same screen like an operator does. Rarely, of course, for troubleshooting, if there's a question around the product, something needs to be investigated, what's going on, then of course we also use the remote support. And this is exactly what we saw when I showed you the live screen of the two machines. We can see the screen of the operator, but we can also interact with the screen. When I say we, of course, your mobile distributor, Mobile Australia, for example, ETS, of course, as well, can support their customers like that in the best possible way. But if you have a customer, there's an interest of that customer to take a look at their own system through remote support, it's also allowed and possible.
Perfect. All right. So from my side, thank you everyone, and thank you Jörg for a great presentation. I think it was quite in depth and shows the benefits of Xsite Manage. And thank you for everybody for tuning in. And I think we'll, like I said earlier, we'll send this recording to any registered applicant, and we'll go from there.
Also, thank you everybody from my side. If you want to get in touch with us, you have all the details here on the last slide. On the right-hand side, support topics, on the left-hand side, general inquiries and sale. Okay, then thanks for today, everybody, for joining, and have a great day.
Perfect. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.